Hello everyone, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Listen, this is kind of an exciting time for me. Today is, anyways, it's an exciting day because it's the first day that I've been published as a contributor to entrepreneur.com. And the topic that I wanted to talk about this morning has to do with the article that I published on entrepreneur.com, and that is, it has to do with your time, okay? Your time, which is the absolute number one most valuable asset you have. Above and beyond anything else, time is an interesting phenomenon because we all have the same amount of it. Yet we all say things like, I don't have enough time, I didn't make time for that, or if I could only have more time, or there aren't enough hours in the day, and all these kinds of things, right? Well, it's interesting because until you get a handle on time, you say that your whole life. You know, you look back and all of a sudden a week went by, a month went by, a year went by, a few years went by, and you look back and you go, what did I do with my time? How much progress did I make? How much did I accomplish? And if the answer is not very much, well, that's a good indication that you haven't yet learned how to value your time. So, my article talks about teaching the world to respect your time, because if you don't, who will? Who is going to respect your time? Now, there was a scandal years ago from a gentleman by the name of Bernie Madoff. He ripped off, I guess it was kind of a Ponzi scheme. I don't know the full details, but I do know he ripped off a lot of people. He made millions and millions of dollars with a Ponzi scheme, and he got busted big time. He's now serving time in prison, as he should. But in the meantime, it was very unfortunate what he did. And he stole people's money. If someone came up and stole $100 from you, a $100 bill, it would bother you, right? I mean, you wouldn't just go, no big deal. I mean, some people might, but most people would react like, hey, come back here, kid. Some guy pulls it out of your pocket and runs off. You'd be like, excuse me, and you'd probably chase after them, right? Try and get it back. Well, that's normal. It's a blatant theft. It's right in front of you. It happens right in front of you, and you would do something about it. You'd stand up for yourself. Well, guess what? People are ripping off your time all the time. People come up out of nowhere, unexpected, take 10, 15, 20 minutes, an hour of your time without asking, and a lot of times it's wasted time. And what are you doing about that? Yet, time is so much more important than that $100 bill. Now, I understand it's life, and we all interact with people, and I know that's kind of an outlandish claim to compare the two, and it's not entirely accurate. I get all that. But hopefully that helps you see time in a little bit different light, because nobody's complaining about somebody stealing your time, but people complain all the time when someone steals your money or your things, right? But yet those are replaceable items. Time is not. So how do you do it? What do you do? How do you get time back, or how do you manage your time? And I offer a few tips in the article. Feel free to go in and read. I want to give you some of my thoughts right now. The first is to start saying no more often. It's okay to say no, even to your kids. Say, I can't right now. And if you feel bad saying no, you can ask for a rain check. Okay, that's a very soft way of saying no. And actually it does two things. This is phenomenal. I love what this does. Okay, so somebody comes up out of the blue and starts asking something of you, or stealing. It might be a coworker who just wants to vent. Have you ever had that? Or gossip? And you don't want to deal with it right now, right? So what you could say is, you know what, I don't have time to listen right now, but if you come back tomorrow, like around, and you can give them a time, like if you come back, bring this back tomorrow, and we can talk about it then. That would be a much better time for me, 10 o'clock, whatever. Well, guess what? You just prioritized teaching your brain, I'm going to say no to things that are rejected, that aren't important. Now, there are going to be all kinds of things that interrupt your day that you can't just reject everybody, okay? You have to have common sense. But it does teach your brain that this is a priority, what I'm working on right now, and if something interrupts me, it needs to be at least as important or more so, or I don't want to interrupt. But the second thing, and I love this about asking people for a rain check, is it puts it back on them. So if it truly is important, they will come back. So it automatically places a filter or a check in the system. So they don't come back, it wasn't that important. They do come back, well, if it was important for them to remember to the next day and they come back, then well, there might be something there. I need to listen. Okay, so if it's your kid and they need something, it's obviously if it's an emergency or if it's something very important to them right then, if they're emotionally charged, you need to stop and be a parent. Okay, I'm not talking about those moments. I'm talking about the regular interruptions that happen all the time. Well, kids need to learn to respect your boundaries as well, right? When our kids go to bed at night, 9 o'clock or something, and then they keep coming out asking for more things, what they hear from me is, Mom and Dad are now closed, as if it were a business. They'll say, you know what? Parents are closed. I'm sorry, you'll have to come to me in the morning about that. Obviously, I say that when it's not something that's like an emergency or something. Like if it's something, they want to know what to wear tomorrow, or they want to know, and that's 90% of the requests that come at bedtime are trivial. And it's good for them to hear, you know what? I'm sorry, we're closed. Our doors open tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the morning. Feel free to come back to us then, and we'll discuss any problems. None of them are emergencies. It can all wait. Good night. Okay? So same thing with anyone. Feel free, because it is your time and your life, and you have to respect it, and you have to teach the world to respect it. And the way you do that is by putting your foot down a little bit on some of these conversations that come in. And people start seeing you in a new light. They'll be like, oh, well, I can't just go and do that anymore to that person. So the reason people are coming up and interrupting your day so much is because you've allowed that to happen, teaching people that's okay for me. You can come up anytime and just interrupt my day and take my time from me, the most valuable asset that I have. You can do that. That's okay. That's what you've been teaching people up until now. To change that, you're going to have to start taking some action in the other direction, and that means saying no to people. But find a nice, soft way to do it. If it bothers you, ask for a rain check. You can follow some of these tips or read the article. There's more good stuff there. Either way, you have to make changes in the way you respond. And when you do this, this is the best thing of all. I love, love, love this. When you do time, everybody's concerned about all these productivity tips and hacks and all this. Do this and the shortcut that. Those are all good. But guess what? If you train your brain to respect your time, that stuff all comes automatically. If you truly respect your time, and you say, you know what, I've got 2 hours tonight, what am I going to do with it? I'm going to do the most important thing that I can with that time. All of a sudden, you're not flopping on the couch to turn on Netflix to go, well, let's just see if there's something here. Now I rip on Netflix, and maybe unwinding on Netflix is a good use of your time. I don't know. What I'm saying is, when you truly value your time and respect your time, it puts a check in your brain. Your brain starts thinking twice before just wasting time. We've all done that, where you're just lazy, you don't have something to do, you're not sure what to do, so you just find something. You're always going to find something to do. You're always going to fill your time with something. Your time, it's impossible to not fill your time doing something. Just sitting there is doing something. It's what that something is that makes the difference between you and an uber ultra successful person. So, what you've got to do is teach yourself, train your brain to respect your time, and automatically you'll start making decisions that are more time value based. So your decisions will change, your actions will change, the outcome will all change on its own when you truly, truly value your time. I can't emphasize enough how important time is. Nobody at the end of their day or at the end of their life wishes they could go back and have more, the moments to waste time. Everybody wishes that they had more, that they could do more with their life. They could have done better. They could have done and waste less. And once a day goes by, you can never, obviously you know this, you can't go back and do it again. It's gone. It's here. It's once. It's fleeting. That's why it's called the present, because it is a present. It's a present. Every day when you wake up, that's a gift from God to you. You got one more day to do something amazing with your life. That's how precious time is. Understand it. Teach others how important your time is to you. They can choose what they want for their time. You now, after listening to this and reading some of the articles and things, value your time a little differently than you did yesterday. Therefore, from now on, I'm going to start telling people no a little more often when it's not as important as it needs to be in order to capture my attention, because I value my time. That's how you got to think. When you start doing that, people will start picking up on it. People will start responding differently. They'll start respecting your boundaries because you will have delineated them, and you will find that your brain will start thinking differently, and you'll spend more time doing more time value activities that will matter. There you go. That's your thought for the day. Make the most of every single second you have today. Be grateful for it. Be glad that God gave it to you, and do something amazing. I'll talk to you next time.